Here we are. It's very exciting. So just do a quick round of introductions here. We have Matt Zhang, who's just announced a venture called HiveMind. We have Anthony Scaramucci. Is that how you say your last name, Anthony? Yes. From SkyBridge.
I've been called worse.
That's right.
Keep going.
Mike Arrington from the Algorand Arrington Growth Fund, and David Garcia, who is with Borderless Capital. So this group is collectively known as the Four Bulls of Algorand, which is, I like that. And so I've also brought out for the occasion of this panel a red flag as the matador of the panel. So I've got this in case things get too challenging. Did you like that, Anthony?
Did you like that?
Anthony liked that one.
It was well delivered too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, that's great. So since we started the conversation, I wanted to just ask you the first question, Anthony. You've talked a lot about institutional investors and traditional companies moving into the space. What do you think is the primary inhibitor to this accelerated adoption or moving faster into the space?
So, I get in trouble with the community because when I'm on television, people ask me about institutional adoption. I say it's very early. It's nowhere near where the hype is related to it. And I think it's for three reasons. It's fear of the unknown, not wanting to break the current status quo that's working in their business. And then I think the third thing is generational. If you look at the demographics, there's 20-year-olds that love the space and want to be a part of it. And the 30-year-olds are mixed, and the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds and so forth. So as that moves, the demography moves over the next 3 to 5 years, I think you'll see way more adoption.
How old are you?
I'll be 58 in January.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 50. I'm 51. I don't think it's fair to put down our generation. I mean, I think a lot of guys our age and women are perfectly comfortable with crypto. And there's a lot of 20-year-olds that can't pull their head out of their own ass. I mean, seriously. Sorry, okay. I didn't mean to immediately.
My next question was going to be, Mike, what do you think?
Hold on a second. But can I?
The rampant ageism is terrible.
Give me the red flag here. I'm going to give the red flag. Okay. Let me just wave it in front of this SOB. Okay, so. All right. Let me say, first of all, they don't think like you, Michael. Honest to God, they don't. They're not as forward-thinking as you. They're not as visionary as you. And
the olds. You're talking about the olds again, right?
When I'm talking about institutions, somebody like Jamie Dimon is a brilliant guy, but he doesn't want to upset the apple cart of what he's got going on. And ultimately, so we have to break that down. I mean, you're 10,000 years ahead of him. And so, yes, maybe it's not 100% generational, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of institutional artifice that needs to be broken.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, the Jamie Dimon being a brilliant guy.
You can have the red flag for now. I don't need it again, maybe.
I think it is fair.
Maybe I'll need it on the next question, maybe.
And in Anthony's defense, it started with...
switch seats with me, though? Because that's right. This is the kind of guy that if I walked into the bar, I'd be looking, where's this guy's girlfriend? I got to get away from him. And
right?
You've already called me a son of a bitch. Sean has completely lost control of this panel within 30 seconds.
I'm letting the bulls run. It's the running of the bulls.
I said it in an endearing. It was like a love affair way of saying it. But go ahead, Sean.
That's right. Okay. So let's get down to something that Mike knows about. It's where would you put MC Hammer in the pantheon of major rappers? That's what I would ask. It's an inside joke. No, but in all seriousness, the question I have for you, Mike, is so you suggested calling the fund the Arrington Algorand Growth Fund. That was your idea.
Yep.
How are you thinking about growth on Algorand in particular and relative to other platforms that you see?
Well, so thank you for the serious question, by the way.
Of course, I'm
and MC Hammer does want to have dinner with you.
No,
he really does. Yeah,
that's exciting.
Okay, so we were early investors in Algorand, which there are a lot of amazing early investors. But other than investing, we didn't do a whole lot. These guys were in the trenches from the beginning, and we watched them, and we were impressed by their dedication to the ecosystem. But your fund was launched in what year?
Well, we launched the fund on November 2018, where Algorand was even not in testnet. So, and everyone was thinking that we were crazy.
Well, okay, so way before us. So we weren't pioneers, but what we saw at the time that we launched our fund, which was middle of this year, was DeFi had exploded and then come down in ETH, and we realized that Algorand was superior to ETH in almost every way. And we've written research reports going into detail on this. My partner Ninos is probably in the audience. He wrote those reports. Are you here, Ninos? There he is, right there. And we realized that, again, we're not brilliant. We sort of saw the parade and got in front of it, but Ninos is brilliant. But we just decided DeFi was definitely coming. And so we followed Borderless and we started investing heavily in DeFi in particular. NFTs came on the heels of that, and I personally, I think the timing was just perfect for us because, well, then you announced your fund, which didn't hurt, and so everything's been great since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So David, just to tee off that, you've been around, like you said, since before really anyone else. What have been the sort of key learnings that you've observed within the ecosystem and where you've seen real value created?
I think that we were not wrong. So that's the first thing that I can realize. And I learned that we were growing at the same time that the technology was growing, the community was growing, but we believe that this is just the beginning. So this is Decipher 1. Let's see how it is in Decipher 5, Decipher 6. So we are very excited for what is coming on.
But what were, if you're looking across the ecosystem, if you were going to share, what did you see as 2 or 3 of the key learnings that you pulled out of it when the journey you've had over the last 2.5 years?
That the technology works. The technology works. We are super proud to be betting in an ecosystem that has been uptime since mainnet launch. That the Algorand teams deliver, and that this new ecosystem and this new network can really democratize the access to blockchain for everyone in the world, right? So we want to build a borderless world, and Algorand can power that.
And so just shifting it over, so Matt, you're the newest member of this group. I'm curious, what was it, given your experience after being at Citi for so long, that you felt like now's the time to step in with HiveMind as a venture?
Yeah, look, first of all, thanks for having me as the newest member of the Bulls. But been in Citi for the last 14.5 years with different sorts of roles. I think the last 12 months, I really see the trend that I think we passed a inflection point. I think people have to remember, after all, Wall Street is a financial services industry, and service is key. It's not what some of the CEOs of Wall Street that Anthony just mentioned think themselves. It's what their clients think they want. After all, if all institutional investors, the family offices, the corporate bank clients, all of the real customers in the real economies need digital asset services, I think Wall Street needs to actually be able to offer that. And I think my unique vantage points in my roles in Citi has definitely demonstrated in the last 12 months that we're past that inflection point. I think sooner or later, every single major institutions would want to jump into this. And look, I mean, if I'm going to do this, in Citi, I build best businesses. We only build winning businesses. And if I'm going to come out and do this, I only want to partner up with the best blockchain network, which is Algorand. I deeply believe in it, because if you're going to offer a fund which is a 10-year long, I mean, first and foremost, you need to make sure after 10 years that network's still there. Now, there's a lot of hypes out there for many networks. I think that's fun. That's just like any paradigm shift in technologies. In the early days, you have all of those noise. But after all, when all of those things dies down, people need to really take a step back and think about what really matters. I think have the patience and building enduring technology is the one that matters the most, which is my confidence in Algorand, and the reason why I'm having Algorand as my first partner to launch HiveMind.
And so, I'd be curious to hear Anthony on this too, but when you see institutional companies or people coming into the space, what are the 3 or 4 things that they're looking for?
I think, look, I'm very keen to get the fellow panelists to chip in on this question too. People want to make sure there's an enterprise institutional quality. You know, if your chain are down every other week, I think that's a problem, right? Because, you know, to putting trillions of assets on chain is not a small task. And before any of these institutions take the leap of faith and do those, they want to make sure they check every single stop. They want to make sure they don't run regulatory risk, operational risk, reputational risk, and market risk. So whoever be able to give them the best quality of the infrastructure, the matureness, the gravitas, I think will be the winning one. And I think that's what Algorand has been doing and what we should be continue doing.
Great. So any thoughts on that, Anthony?
No, I mean, I think what I would add to it is more or less what Scott said yesterday, the North American CEO of AXA. If you're a large-scale institution, you're getting paid not to make mistakes. You know, what I appreciate about what Michael's done and David is they took a risk. You started when it just got started. You saw the technical properties of it and said, I got to get in there. But when you think about the way an institution thinks, they're like, okay, I cannot be wrong. I don't want to get fired. And so I was very encouraged yesterday by what Scott was saying. Took a year, evaluated all these different enterprises, and recognized that the technical capabilities, the lack of downtime, the integrity of the system, the security, scalability, the trilemma solving was good enough for him. And I think that's going to be the next leap for Algorand. You know, somebody said on Twitter this morning, and I retweeted it, I think it was probably somebody here in this audience, that it's sort of like Google, but prior to Google, there were things like Alta Vista, which you and I are old enough to remember, and there was things like AOL, but there was a technology that was way better than that came on the horizon and eclipsed those, and I think that's what we're on the verge of, and I think that's just going to take a little bit of time and more due diligence.
Yeah, Mike, yeah.
So I don't disagree with that, but I think it's mostly wrong. I think that institutions do not care about uptime of the network. They should care, and they might care later, but we see with Solana, they don't care. Right? I mean, Solana's up, Solana's down, like whatever.
What institution?
What is Solana?
Ah, nice, David.
I think we know a few investors who are deep in Solana. Yeah, no, a lot of them are crypto.
There are
but
Fortune 50 companies that are adopting and using Solana as a blockchain solution.
Oh, God, no, that would be ridiculous. And there you have a good point, and I'll cede that point. But what I wanted to say is we think that some of the new companies coming up are actually what's going to drive the next big wave of value add in Algorand. And I say that partially because we've invested in those companies, but also partially because it might be true. And so we had a team dinner last night, and Ninos was talking about, I'm going to miss some of them, but C3, Tiny Man, what's the third one? AlgoFi.
XPAC.
And others are going to be monsters, right? We already know because we've seen this movie before, and the amount of attention they're going to draw from the retail DeFi guys who just do this all day is just going to drive the adoption like crazy. And we think that's going to drive the next big wave. And then we think, and maybe when we talk about institutions, because it seems like maybe you're talking about actual adoption of the technology, I'm just talking about the hedge fund guys we know who are traditional hedge fund guys who are dipping their toes into crypto. That's what I thought we were talking about. Those guys will see the momentum, and those guys just follow that train. So I think we were actually talking about two different things. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, and just imagine the environment where both of those things are converging, how big the opportunity will be for Algorand.
Absolutely. So David, if you were looking at a particular sector or a particular area that you see as really on the rise following what Mike just said? What are the places in the ecosystem or in blockchain that you find most exciting right now?
Definitely Algorand is the next frontier, right? So as Mike mentioned, there are several projects that are being built right now on the DeFi space. That's something that we are looking very closely. We also believe that DAOs could be the next hot thing in Algorand. The Algorand Foundation is a DAO by itself, right? So, and actually it's one of the most popular DAOs with 70,000 people participating, almost $4 billion locked. So we think that DeFi, DAOs, and creators economy is Algorand is the new house and home for those three big industries in blockchain.
Yeah, I'd be curious on this too, Matt. What about you? What's an area that?
Yeah, look, I don't want people having to tweet that I hate DeFi. So, just with all the caveats, I remain skeptical on a lot of the DeFi products being built so far. Maybe because of my own background and experience. I think for blockchain actually to add value, you have to actually create the debt weight loss that the society doesn't have today. You have to unlock something which otherwise wouldn't be possible, right? Otherwise, why would you put on blockchain in the first place? So I think among all of these things we've seen, things being built, programmable money, open internet, creator economy, gaming, I think really trying to find the ways to bring what the society is not possible to do today. For me, and for HiveMind, for our strategy, the reason we have a dedicated play to earn is personally I'm a big believer. Digital productivity is going to be a key to drive something from the frontier to the core. Right now, there's many countries, in Southeast Asia, in Latin America, in Africa, that have the young, talented people that won't be able to possibly participating in the economy in Europe and the US. I think through gaming, and actually we should really think about what gaming even means. It brings a possibility to shifting from pay to play, free to play, now play to earn, and let them participating in everything we're building. So I think gaming is something I'm super, super excited. I think there's a lot we can achieve. And I think, come back to the discussions Mike and Anthony just said, just because Algorand, we're going to build a enterprise quality blockchain, doesn't mean we can't be fun and young at the same time. These two things are not mutually exclusive, right? So there's chains out there, people saying, listen, they're young, they're hyped, there's people throwing parties. A lot of this is very fluffy. After all, what you build, the actual product on chain actually matters. And we, from HiveMind, with the partnership with Algorand, going to actually build a lot of hopefully killer play-to-earn games. And we want to drive the TVL, but more importantly, we want to drive enduring TVL. People coming in, they lock it, they stay there. Not just because the yield was 20 or 30% overnight, more because we give them enduring value over time. Yep. So that's a space I'm personally very, very excited about.
Anthony, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. I think it's very well said. But what I want to focus on, at least in our efforts, is to create the convergence that Michael's talking about. If you can get the hedge fund community, and you can get several of, let's say, the global 2,000 corporations who have needs, not just put their stuff on the blockchain, but there's an exciting thing they can do. They can unlock value. They can use the NACs, as was described yesterday. And my thing is each company that's willing to go through that process is better for the entire ecosystem. And so I'm going to spend a lot of time and energy on that.
Yeah.
The game stuff is... So you've got metaverses and you have the play-to-earn games, and to some extent they converge, right? We were looking at a deal yesterday, I won't say what it is, because we still might do it, but it's like the 85th metaverse play-to-earn thing we've looked at in the last 2 months. I think it's their first round. I think their valuation is $100 and something million. I mean, it's just bullshit. It's like layers of bullshit on top of other bullshit. And so investors like us have gotten very used to not losing money. I bet you haven't done a deal that's lost money in a year. It's crazy. And so you you start, and it's as a VC, it's insane. And so we're the frog being boiled, and we start to think, oh, we can't lose. We're really smart. But I think there's going to be a huge bloodletting in this.
Can I just respond to that?
Wait, no, hold on. I haven't done.
There is inflation even in venture capital. So
Now,
crazy.
you, I believe, Matt, are going to build games.
We are.
Yeah. So first of all, right off the bat, even if it fails, all you've lost is your initial investment. But if it succeeds, the benefits, I mean, everything goes to the winners here. So I firmly believe in that. And if you raise money from us afterwards at a reasonable valuation, we're going to be all in, because we'd like to place lots of bets at $10 million valuations. But as soon as these things get up in the 100 to 200 million range in the first round, it's just a recipe to burn money.
I agree with that. Just very quickly, and I want to comment on a slightly different thing. So, look, Mike, you're a pioneer of the internet stage as well.
I feel like you're telling me old again.
I'm just telling. I'm trying to say is, in 2004, when Google launched search engine, there's another 1,000 people trying to do the same thing. There's going to be massive long tail just in every paradigm shift. Just because the long tail are all failing doesn't mean the actual winners is not going to be doing something which is changing. Again, I'm not saying you
long tail and play to earn and metaverse. No.
For
Might be
those
2 or 3, but there's no way. I mean, network effects kick in here.
Exactly. That's my point. Is
why
just
there is
because
no-
the long tail will all fail doesn't mean the top ones wouldn't actually bring something meaningful. My point being is, statistically it says like you don't know which one will be the one that actually win. A lot of things actually depending on random walk. My point being, if there's enough effort being put into the space, then there will be the next Google of the play to earn
But
space.
look, Matt, look, you've been in crypto for 5 minutes, right? When no, I don't mean that. Look, we're good buddies. He's coming to my house tomorrow. We're hanging out. Look, but if you what were you doing in 2018? You were doing crypto in 2018 on the side, right? It was a rough year.
You say some bad shit about David, then we'll all feel
Is when we launch Borderless Capital.
nasty shit about him before
It's-
we go to the next guy.
I
like him?
He was here when
right.
no one else believed
All
him.
right, I was just saying, you know. All right.
Yeah, everyone was laughing at us at that time.
No, I mean behind your back,
we'd
but not.
we'd all.
Totally agree.
Misery
But
loves
you were
company,
right.
Mike.
You were right.
You just said.
Okay, next question.
So, it's next question. So, Dave, everyone thought the flag thing wasn't a good idea, but I got the red flag here. So, David, I'm curious. Given that the fund that you launched with Borderless is one that focused on really helping us get the infrastructure and the capabilities built out. Each of these gentlemen to your right are starting their funds relatively, recently. What's the next frontier for you at Borderless?
Well, as I mentioned before, we think that this is the beginning. So today, in a couple of hours, there will be a press release announcing that we are doubling down in the ecosystem. So we are launching. I didn't say anything. So we are launching our Borderless Algo Fund 2. It's going to be for $500 million. So thank you. And we are going to keep building on top of Algorand. So that's the next frontier.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
So and everyone up here has experience running all sorts of different type of funds. So I think just contextually, how do you think about a blockchain fund as being different than other funds that you might have managed or started or been exposed to? Is there any difference?
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with that. So I, rightly or wrongly, 33 years in the business, very traditional money management footprint, classic institutional thinking, box checking to get assets, performance, et cetera. This is totally different. This is, and Sylvia and I were talking about this at breakfast, this is a massive delayering mechanism for the entire world. And if you can get people to understand how massive it is, to Michael's point, even a small investment, a sliver of an investment in any one of these fund products could be an incredible return. And so my thing when I started a year ago with the Bitcoin fund, I said we're going to go with Bitcoin originally. We went to Ethereum, then we did the homework with you guys and said, okay, these are the bets that we want to make in the blockchain. And so I'm trying to convince people that are into 60-40 stock and bond portfolios. And we know that the 60-40 allocation model is effectively dead because of what the Fed has done. And I've got to get them over the hump into the blockchain. And they're used to losing money. You guys said that you haven't lost money in a while. But in the blockchain, if they go with Algorand, I think they're going to be sitting here someday saying, wow, we got there so early, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. And so for me, being an incrementalist as an entrepreneur, that's all I'm really trying to do, Sean, is just nick each person with a little bit.
I want Mike to go first.
Well, I'm just shaking my head. Yeah, that was well put. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that. I'm buying myself some red Converse sneakers when I get out
That's
of here.
right.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Be
right.
you and me, man.
That's right. So I do want to. So Matt, do you have a thought there? Or you?
Yeah, look, very just quickly to add, I think what we're trying to build on the HiveMind side, with all the caveat, we'll only be in crypto for 5 minutes, so it's untested. I think
But it's been a really good 5 minutes.
it's great 5 minutes, especially hanging with you guys. I think it's the best panel so far.
Can I just tell the joke from the other night? I'm sorry. That when you came up to me, what you said, I can't.
Just as long as it doesn't have nuns in it, I'm like okay with it.
Matt came up to me at the party we had the other night, and he said, he goes, "This is so great. We're going to make a lot of money in crypto." I said, "We've already made a lot of money in crypto."
That's true.
Okay, great.
All right, Matt.
Perfect.
Matt,
So,
there's a little bit of a hazing that goes on with these guys.
it's actually 10 p.m.
Right,
You know
that's right.
how it feels. But anyway, bottom line is, I think what we're trying to do is it's very important not to use a cookie cutter and trying to think about what's about to come and using yesterday's thought process to think about it. Right? A lot of the topic we just talk about exactly reflected that. So look, it's a plan, and we'll try to make sure we're connected to the plan. But our plan is, we think if you want to do crypto investing in the best way, you have to be very focused on it. So with due respect to all our friends and other competitors in the space, we only want to do crypto. We're dedicated to doing this. You know, there's many other distractions in the world. We will leave them alone. There's other people who are very good at them, who want to spend the next 10, 15 years in crypto only. So even though we started relatively late, we can catch up sooner. But then I think it's important when you do it, you give the entrepreneurs everything, right? So the strategy we will have is we're going to have hopefully a very awesome trading team. We'll do VC investing. We'll actually kind of have a play to earn, and we're actually helping the protocols to stake. Because I think if you give them a start to finish solution of the entire capital solution, that is a winning formula to actually see and win and work on the best companies and projects.
Yep. That's great. So I want to shift a little bit with the time we have, considering the amount of capital that's represented up here. There are a lot of people out there that are trying to figure out what they should do if they want to launch in the space, and what they should do if they want to try to approach you all to convince you to put some capital into their venture. So I'd be curious, let's tap into the wisdom of the panel to say, here are some of the do's and don'ts if you're looking to raise money or you're looking to try to get investment in your blockchain project. Michael?
Okay, so the way to be a successful investor in crypto, or really anything, is to take the time to meet with everybody. And so, you know, we have 12 calls a day sometimes. So we like to talk to everybody. That's the message. And so reach out to us, me directly. Ninos is right there. Wave your hand again. Is Omar here? Okay, well, we got other guys here. We want to meet with you, and we'll always take an hour. And cold, just come to us cold, and we'll do it. And they will too, and I assume you guys will as well. It's not that hard. Just don't fuck up on the meeting. When you actually have the meeting, be on time, right? Have something to pitch, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, make sure your pitch is clean, but it's not hard to get a meeting with us. That's how, you know, that's our job, is to take those meetings.
So I would add something to what Michael's saying is, I met with a group this morning, 29 and 23, and they're brothers. And I said, what happens when you guys fight? And he says, well, what we're fighting over is we're trying to present ourselves as 40-year-olds. We want to come across that way. And sometimes we don't do that. I said, well, you're 29 and 23. And my reason I'm bringing this up is just be yourselves and be as transparent as possible. If you're 23, it's totally cool. You may have a genius idea at 23. Bill Gates did. So did so many others. Second thing, which is super important to us, is institutional process. Now, that sounds boring to crypto people, but trust me, if you want to break into the institutional community and you want to eventually get money from sovereign wealth funds and pension funds, if you start now with best of class legal team, best of class accounting team, administrator, etc., you're going to make it so much easier for you. And so just think ahead is my message to people.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, but I will add that in crypto, the dynamics work a little bit different. And one thing that entrepreneurs and startups should really focus when they are looking to build capital and also develop products is the community. So they really need to focus a lot of their efforts, how they are going to build the community, how they are going to bring users, how they are going to make sure that the amazing product that they are building is known out there. So that's my message for them.
I just think, look, agree everything said, and I think one thing is just having one eye on the long run, right? It's a space that's so much hype, people getting quickly very rich. Like, that's all fine, and it's very distracting, actually. So, but after all, I think it's a long game. So if people actually just in for the short haul, good luck to them. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're thinking this is actually something which is next 30 years to play, I think people need to really, be patient and building something which is enduring. Yeah. So if they don't have that preparation and mindset to do that, then look, good luck to them. But I think that's a very different game.
Yep. So the other side of the coin is that it's easy to receive a bunch of people who are looking to pitch their idea to all of you, but how do you ensure consistent deal flow or opportunity flow? What do you all do to go out and find the opportunities if they aren't coming to you directly?
I'll go first. Look, the whole point is, look, we announced yesterday with Algorand our first technology partner to launch HiveMind. I think layer one is a very unique resource in the crypto economy, in the sense that I think about it as an open and open source software, right? People actually need to build on top of them. So leveraging the right layer one networks is a very fundamental way of actually seeing good deals coming in. So if you actually be able to consistently do this, hopefully the deal flow will be there to see on a consistent basis. But otherwise, you just have to hustle. There's no easy business, right? In the end, you just have to be going out there, meet people, coming to Decipher, meet everybody, figure out what's going on, what's been built, and maybe some of this actually convert into the next best idea.
Yep.
Well, I'll add something quickly, is the collaboration. Ultimately, we can view ourselves as competitors and we can compete with each other, but I think that would be terrible for the ecosystem and that would be terrible for the long-term game. And so for me, we got to collaborate. Now, Michael also said to me in the back that he has never been invited to the SALT conference before. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will never not be invited to the SALT conference going forward. And it's very important to me that the whole group of you guys are present at those events so that it can build your network and that we see ourselves as collaborators as opposed to competitors, because that's going to be great for the long-term game.
Great, 100%.
Algorand, that's going to be great for the long-term ecosystem, and it's going to help. It's going to help each other.
By the way, you just joined our Borderless Planet Fund, so thank you for that.
Yeah. And I had no idea what I was investing in, David, but I am so happy. I got to tell you, I'm gonna make a confession on camera. I have no idea what you're doing, but I'm very happy. Okay, I'm very happy. But I say that jokingly. You know why? Because you got introduced to me. I think it was either Sean or Bob Matza, and you explained it well. I said we have to be a part of this because of what I believe in, which is this long-term collaboration.
Thank you.
Are you
Right.
coming to the Sol conference, though, Michael?
I look forward to keynoting it, actually.
Keynoting it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you up there with Eric Adams then. You have to share the stage with him.
Actually, I'd love that. Yeah. One thing to add: the craft of investing is really easy once you know the secret. And the secret is once you've made an investment, do everything you can to help your companies win. And one, that helps them win. But two, they tell other people. And if you haven't made your first investment, just help someone who you haven't invested in win. And that even gets you more credit. And it's as simple as that. Just work hard to make your investments do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you asked about deal flow. We don't have that problem. We are actually hiring to deal with the deal flow that we have. So yeah, we are easy to reach. We have a lot of programs running out. We have the Algorand Miami Accelerator, the Draper Accelerator. We are launching one in India, one in Latin America next year. So there are a lot of resources for entrepreneurs to connect with us and to start working with Borderless Capital.
That's great. So we have about a minute and a half or so, but any final thoughts? Anything we didn't cover that you'd all like to impart upon this esteemed body?
No, I think it's been a fun panel. Looking forward to get invited again.
You're a real trooper. You're a trooper, man. I gotta tell you.
I just want to say that the 5 minutes that Matt and I have been in crypto have been fantastic for me.
Well, that's it. Thank you all so much. Thanks to the panelists for being here. Thank you.